Hey everyone, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to a surprise Sunday live stream. I'm so excited today because I ended the live stream a couple days ago for SBC Fest and I just decided that I had so many more ideas using the SBC Fest kits that I wanted to come back for another round, rejoin all of you guys for another Simon Fest as we coined it, and show you even a bunch more inspiration using the SBC Fest kits. Now, before we get into it, SBC Fest is a free event. It's going to be on March 13th this year, and I personally have no affiliation to this event. I'm not teaching in it, I'm not sponsored by it. I just love SBC Fest from scrapbook.com so much because it's free education and there's a ton of amazing instructors that all come together to teach you guys lots of great techniques. Now, inside of this, of course, signing up is free, watching is free, so you can get all of that amazing inspiration. But each one of the teachers has an individual kit of supplies that scrapbook.com has put together for a really great discounted value. And you're going to be able to craft along with them if you purchase their kits. So I have links down below. That's the only way that I'm making money today is if you purchase through those links, I get a small percentage of the kickback. But really, I'm just doing this because I'm so inspired by the kits and the products that are in it. So I thought that I would craft with you and share this with you. That way, if you end up purchasing the kits, you can come back to these videos, watch them and get super inspired from me. But also on March 13th, you're gonna see some really amazing techniques using these from the actual instructors of the kits. So I hope that all makes sense. I had some messages behind the scenes being like, Simon, why are you promoting this so hard? And truly, it's just because I loved it. And I saw these kits and I was like, I need these right now. They are really inspiring to me. So that's why I'm doing this, just for the love of crafting. And so I know you guys loved the last one. So I hope you enjoy sitting down with me for another Simon Fest, as we coined it, and join me for some more crafting this Sunday afternoon. So let's turn on my work surface. We're going to take a look at all these kits one more time in case if you didn't see them the other day, and then we'll jump right into crafting with some ideas that I had using the kits. All right. So first off, we have Lawson's kit. I'm just going to kind of recap all of them here. So this is Leah's kit. It's got a really great kind of butterfly theme to it. Let me open it up. And each one of the kits comes in these large zipper bags that scrapbook.com gives you. Now Leah's kit is a $101 value and it's priced at $26. So that's what I'm saying. Like the amazing value that you get inside of these kits is really, really awesome. So it comes with a little watercolor cardstock pad, which I'm definitely going to, again, use today. There's a bunch of sheets in here with a ton of different colors, double-sided. Then I'm also going to use this stencil today. I didn't use this the other day, but I am loving the stencil, so I'm going to use it today. It's called Butterflies. And then we have a butterfly die set, which I actually lost one of the little butterfly dies as we were crafting with it, but it creates all these really great butterflies. This nested vintage labels, which I'm sure I'll use this one again today. And then these really great sentiments. Again, I lost the high sentiment, but these are the sentiments in here. Really great basic and a great size for the sentiments. So this is Leah's kit, again, $101, now down to $26. And also, I should say, they still have the coupon code Crafty going on. If you're watching this on Sunday, that's gonna end on Sunday night at midnight. So definitely grab these kits at that price. Using coupon code Crafty at checkout will get you an extra 13% off, and my inside sources at scrapbook.com told me that that is the best discount you're going to get up until SBC Fest, so take advantage of that code while you still have it. So this is a $26 kit, which is amazing. Then next we have Justin Adkins kit, which is more of a birthday theme. Justin's kit is usually $98 and it is priced down to $24. So again, insane value. I see a lot of you guys in the comments already saying you ordered some of the kits. They should be arriving tomorrow. That's awesome. So this one is a 3D folder called Streamers. I used this one and I'm probably gonna again use it today because this has some amazing texture for birthday cards. Then we have this die set, which is all of these great sentiments like cheers to you. You can have them separate or together, and then some really great streamers. And then these birthday balloons, this is called the nested round balloons. This is 11 pieces, a really great birthday balloon die set, which I think I'm gonna use this again today. And then a great mixed media pad, which is really thick white watercolor cardstock. Yay, so many of you guys are saying you've got your kits, you're waiting for them. That is amazing. I'm glad that I'm inspiring you guys, and hopefully when you get your kits, if you get any of the same ones that I have, hopefully you come back to these and watch them. And I hope these videos are helpful for you guys. Okay, and then we have Gina K's kit, which I heard that Gina's kit is exclusive to SBC Fest. So once this one sells out, it's going to be gone forever. So if you want to get this one, definitely move fast on it. This has a stencil, which we used the other day, called Elegant Ovals. I'm sure I'm gonna use this again today. It's a great one. Then we have Textured Silhouettes, which is a very Gina style stamp set, but I used this and I love the florals in here. Let me show you the card that we made the other day using this. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, and I think I'm gonna use these textures today from this silhouette set, and then a really great die set that comes, or that cuts out all of the images except for these two textured pieces on it. So really a great set from Gina. This one is a $68 value down to $44. And again, this one is exclusive to SBC Fest, so it will not be restocked once they're all gone, which is awesome. Tons of you guys saying you ordered the kits. Ida says, sad Simon isn't teaching, but loving Simon Fest. I am so glad you guys are enjoying this. And I know I'm a little sad that I'm not teaching at this SBC Fest either, but I'm glad I could participate in this way and have my own little Simon Fest with you guys and craft together with some of the really inspiring kits. Now, I also want to say all of the kits are available all together, and that is a $655 value down to $229. That is an amazing price for all of the kits together. Once that one sells out, I don't think that's going to be restocked because Gina's kit is in there and that is exclusive. So again, take advantage of all of these different kits using that coupon code Crafty for an extra 13% off of the already discounted prices, okay? That is an amazing deal. And I love that Scrapper.com puts all these together and really gets the best price down and the best value for you guys to get these kits so you can craft along at SBC Fest or craft along at Simon Fest. All right, let's turn on my work surface now and get right into crafting with some of these kits. So I wanted to start off with this butterfly set from Lawson, and I want to use this stencil. So let's jump right into here. We're gonna use this butterfly stencil first, and we're gonna do something a little bit different and unique with it, okay? So we'll pull this guy right out, and we're gonna show you how to get some texture from this butterfly stencil. Okay, so we'll pull this right out. I'm gonna grab a piece of our Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock out. So this is an A2 size stencil, so it'll fit right on top of your A2 size cardstock. And then we're going to bring in our Platinum 6 die cutting machine because we're going to do some embossing from this stencil, okay? So we'll pull out all of our plates because I want to show you this sandwich is a little bit different than the regular die cutting sandwich, okay? So you're going to do the A platform base, then you're going to go in with a rubber mat. Okay, this rubber mat, when it comes with your Platinum 6, is usually like a gray color like this, and it's going to be soft and squishy and malleable. But in classic Simon Hurley fashion, I actually lost mine. I was scrambling around like 5 minutes before the live stream. So this one is an older version of the mat. It's the same exact thing. So if you have this one still, it's the same thing, but the new ones are like a grayish color. So you're going to place this right into your machine, and then you're going to place your cardstock down. And now with my cardstock, I like to mist my cardstock with a little bit of water. So I'm gonna go in here and just gently mist both sides of the cardstock with water. That's going to prepare it to kind of mold to the design and take the texture a little bit easier without cracking or warping the cardstock, okay? So we're gonna put this at a little bit of an angle, just like this. That'll help it kind of run through a little bit smoother through your die cutting machine. And then we're going to go in with our stencil and place this stencil right on top of our Stark White cardstock, just like that, okay? Then we're going to go in with our D adapter plate. This is the hard gray plate, and we're going to place this right on top, okay? So place that right on top, and then once that's all put together, actually wait, I did that wrong. Again, classic Simon Hurley fashion here. We need our B plate. Okay, so we still need the B platform top. So it'll be the A platform base, B platform top. Now I think this is feeling right. Then we'll go in with our embossing mat. And the embossing mat is going to want to go right here because that's going to give you a little bit of squish. And that's what's going to help press this into the cardstock, okay? And then we're going to go in with the D adapter plate right on top. And now we'll hope we got everything right. Yep, that feels a little bit better. There's a little pressure there. And then we'll run this right through our die cutting machine, okay? And I see a lot of you guys really excited about the new text notifications. If you came here somehow from the YouTube notifications, welcome in. Or if you're watching the replay, welcome. I now have text notifications too. So click that first link in the description box that says sign up for text messages. That will send you an automated text whenever there's a new live stream or video, so you can make sure to catch it and not miss any of my content. Sometimes the social media algorithms don't feed you the content correctly, so this is going to ensure you can be here right on time with me and not miss anything. All right, then when we lift that off, check out this really great texture. Do you guys see that? It's not like the same texture as a 3D embossing folder will give, where it's like really puffy and super dimensional, but this is cool because it gives you just a subtle dimension in here that is absolutely beautiful. You can really see it on that cardstock there. And you can definitely feel it in real life, which is something that I really love about that texture. It just gives you a really great raised dimension. And you can do this with any one of your stencils, which I think is so awesome. So again, I know it was a little bit confusing the way that I did it. So it's the A platform base, it'll be the B platform top. Then you go in with your embossing mat, whether it is gray or this tan color, but it's gonna be that kind of rubber silicone mat. You'll do your cardstock, your stencil on top, and then your D adapter plate, okay? So that is going to be the proper sandwich in order to run this through and get that really great embossed result. I love it. So let me put this away, but I love to share different ways to use your supplies, and that is a really fun way to use your stencils and get a brand new look from it. So now let's go in with our sticky mat. This happens to be the sticky mat from Altenew. It is the 9x12 sticky mat. I love, and I keep it inside of one of these large scrapbook.com bags too, so those are very helpful to keep the dust away from it. But I love this mat because it's got like a textured kind of gridded side, which I stick down to my work surface. And that side is going to help you from like getting any air bubbles in it or anything like that. It doesn't stick too much then. And then this flat side is what's you're going to work on here. So you can place your cardstock down to that flat side. It's going to stick down and not move anywhere then. And then you can place down your stencil too. Now, because this stencil doesn't have any, like borders to it, we're gonna wanna stick this down with tape. I actually didn't even think about that. So we're gonna go in here with a little bit of tape. Hopefully it still sticks down to this mat. And I'm just lining it up exactly with the embossed design. So we're gonna now add ink down onto our embossing, and we're gonna add some color down to the texture. Okay, so we'll go in with our tape and just tape it down from the top and the bottom of the stencil to hold it really nicely in place there, so it's not gonna move whatsoever, all right? Then we're gonna go in with our color cube. I have been loving these color cubes. Now, the color cube is kind of a collection of 4 cubes you can buy. You can buy them individually or all together. I have them links down below if you wanna check out the color cubes. They are amazing, but basically they give you color inspiration. And so all of the different color cubes have different tabs in them and a bunch of different color cards. So you can go into these different sections and find out new color combinations that you want. So I'm gonna go into the pastel tones color collection because I wanna work with some lighter colors, and oh my gosh, I already love this one for sure. But then you can flip through, and especially helps for someone like me where I've used my ink so many times that I know what colors I like, and sometimes I don't test the limits of my colors then and find new color combinations. So I find this to be super helpful to just kind of flip through and see what kind of color combinations I like. So I really like this one too. Let's keep looking though and see if we find anything else. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay, you know what? I think we're gonna go with this one. I love this for those butterflies. And You can make them lighter or darker, but this is going to give you a really great jumping off place for any of the color combinations that you have. And I mean, like there's a whole section that says bugs and butterflies. Maybe I should go in here. Wow, that is beautiful. So really just some great color combinations you can flip through and test your creativity. And so you can kind of use this as a challenge, like if you want to just pick blindly from these and find a color combination, or if you want to go through and really be inspired and just choose something and kind of figure out a really great way to fit all those amazing colors into your projects. And so it's just a really great jumping off place to find new colors from. All right, I think let's stick with this. I like those light colors, those pastel tones. And then we'll stick those right back in, and we will place our lid back on this cube. So I love that you can have these in your craft room and just be super inspired by all of the amazing colors that you can find. So this one is color card 831, if you're following along, from set 4 of the color cubes, but I just am so inspired by those pastel colors. So let's go in and do a pastel blend with some of these. So I'm gonna start off with Slippery When Wet, which happens to be that kind of same top yellow color there. And we're going to go in and do some blending. We'll go in with our yellow blending brush for this. And I'm going to go in and just go very lightly with this. I'm going to tap off some of that color to kind of make these colors more pastel than they are straight from the ink pad, because I want this to be kind of a light and airy background. So I'll tap off some of the color onto the side and then blend it right onto the surface of our card. And oh my gosh, it is so beautiful already. Okay, I love that Slippery When Wet color. It is gorgeous. Then we will go in with our next color, which I think is going to be Stupid Cupid, because that Stupid Cupid color kind of matches with this peachy color right there, sort of. It's a little bit more intense, but you'll see that when we go in and we tap off our color, we can kind of mimic some of these colors in here. So we'll go in and really tap this off to the side to get a much lighter version of that Stupid Cupid color. All right. So if you guys see that, yeah, look, we can really get that kind of light peachy color from this ink pad. So tapping off to the side and making sure you're getting that lighter color is a really great way to get more use out of your ink pads, right? Because you might just see that really kind of bright, bold color and think that's the only color you can get from it. But really just going in with a lighter hand and tapping off some color is gonna make it really easy for you to get lighter colors from a more dark and dimensional colored ink pad. All right, this is gorgeous so far. And we'll blend that down a little bit more. And I'm using my Simon Hurley medium ink blending brushes. I love these guys because the handle's at the top. So this is also a great way that you can control kind of the amount of pressure that you add down to the surface. It's very ergonomic, super comfortable, but with some on the side, you can't really control how much you're pushing down because that side handle is really bendy. Whereas this top handle, you can kind of really choose how much pressure you're applying because you have the full control with the handle right on top, which I think is awesome. Okay. Then let's go in next with our darker kind of pink color. And for this, the only color that's out with this dark pink is kind of Prom Queen. And again, that's way darker than the color that we're actually intending for. But we're gonna go in with a much lighter hand and see if we can kind of replicate that color. But again, we're using this more as a reference. You don't need to follow everything exactly. Like I kind of skipped that color there, but we'll see if we can incorporate that maybe with some vellum later. Because it doesn't all need to be incorporated in the background like this. It's fun to kind of do color blends like this, but you can also do like other colors with like cardstocks and things like that. So again, blending this in, and we have full control with this blending brush to really decide how much color we want. So I'm going in very light-handed with just this, tapping off and then like super light touch, and you'll get such a smooth, beautiful gradient of color there. Isn't this just gorgeous? I love it so much. And the Simon Hurley and Stellar ink pads both have this formulation that is just so smooth for blending. It truly is like no other ink pad. Like look how that gradient is just so gorgeous. Craft and Love Lisa says, I love, love, love your blending brushes and use them daily. I'm so glad you love them. We designed these from scratch. They are a fully custom product. My brother actually worked with me on them, and we 3D printed like a million handles like that to really decide which one was gonna be perfect. I handed them out to my friends and was like, test these brushes. All my family tested them, and we narrowed it down to this blending brush handle, and it is so ergonomic and comfortable. Now these aren't 3D printed, trust me. These are made by a factory with really nice soft touch material, but I'm so glad we were able to test them and make them so custom so they're super comfortable for you guys. All right, then let's go in with these next two colors. So for these, let's see, I want a color like that. I don't know if I have something like that, but let's try to kind of match it a little bit. So I think for that, we're gonna use, what is it like? Is this gonna be really Midnight Snack? I think that's the closest thing I have to this. And then we're going to go in and really try to tone it down. Now, for this navy blue color, some of these blending brushes that I have, I keep a whole blending brush for the whole family of colors. So like all of the blues have this blending brush, except for like a lot of lighter blues. So I think I used a different color on this beforehand. So to really get it back to this Midnight Snack color, I just tap it onto that Midnight Snack ink pad and then kind of wipe it off onto the side until you notice that the other color's coming out there. So I think I used like Loch Ness in there, as you can see beforehand. So instead of going in and cleaning these with water super heavily every single time, I just go in and wipe them off. And that usually gets off most of the color before we move into the next tone, okay? And then we'll go in with a little bit of Midnight Snack. Hopefully this will be kind of similar to that color there. I know it's not going to be exact, but yeah, it's sort of similar. It's kind of like that jean color, but it's definitely darker. So if I had something like that, I would definitely have used it, but whatever, we're coming as close as we can to it. And you can see it's still blending beautifully. When we overlap that, it gets like a nice purple inside here, which I think is so gorgeous. And again, very light hand that we're blending with here. We don't need too much color. And that light hand is gonna get us a very long way with these colors. That's gorgeous. So a new kind of purple color came in between there. And then last but not least, this one is very Clear Skies. I know that for a fact. So we will go in with Clear Skies next to finish off this blend. So I love it. We made perfect space for all of these beautiful colors in here. So lastly, we'll finish it off with Clear Skies. And again, you can kind of hold the blending brush from like down here and put your finger in here like this. That's pretty comfortable to do. You can also put all your fingers right here. There's very many ways you can hold this blending brush. Just do it however it's comfortable for you. But I love that you don't have to like grab from the side and kind of like hold on to it and like, you know, grasp onto the top. It really is nice and solid, very durable, and super ergonomic. So I have these linked below too if you're interested in the blending brushes. But you can always try one or two and then see if you love them, but most people are loving that very ergonomic handle for blending. All right, that is looking great. I know that pastel, you can get that effect with just using the same ink pads that you have and just really tapping them off onto the side, and you can kind of create these pastel colors that are in this card. So again, this was from Color Cube number 4. I got these linked down below in case you want to check them out too, but they are such great inspiration for finding like the perfect color combinations. And I just sort of flip through until I find one that inspires me, but I thought that this would be really cool for the butterfly one for sure. Okay, so let's go in now and lift this right off. I'm excited to see our result. That is gorgeous. Wow. I am obsessed with that look of those butterflies. They're absolutely stunning. And such a smooth, beautiful gradient on there, using those colors and kind of creating pastel colors. And then again, this all has that really amazing texture because we embossed it. So now that we have the ink on there, it's a little bit harder to see, but we embossed that earlier. So these are raised, embossing with the stencil, and then going over top and stenciling with it. And it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. Okay, so now let's go in and let's just clean things off here. To clean off my Altenew sticky mat, I go in with just a little bit of water, and my inks don't stain with any water. And then I go in with a lint-free cloth or a paper towel, and I wipe it right down. And then once that water evaporates off of there, This will be nice and sticky for next time you use it. I've been using this one for about a year or more, and it's already still so sticky, even though you can tell it's very well loved. So I really love these sticky mats. And then I just put it right back into this large scrapbook.com bag. This is the same bag that you're getting with each one of the SBC Fest kits, so you can always use one of the bags for this if you want to, but I love it for this because then it keeps all the dust out and it keeps it very nice and sticky. All right. Okay, so then next I want to show you a similar technique with this before we put a card together using this. And I want to show you another fun way to use your stencils because this stencil is just so inspiring for me that I want to use it one more time. So to clean this off, I'll just use a little bit of water and I'll go in with kind of a microfiber cloth and just wipe this off. We want all of that ink off of there. Okay. And then let's create a background kind of stamping with the stencil because there's really so many things you can do with a beautiful stencil design like this. So to do the stamping, let's go in and use similar colors to what we just did, but we won't use all of them because there's not going to be as much room for them until we get mini ink pads, which cross our fingers. Hopefully that happens within a year or so. Hopefully Ranger allows us to do minis of the stellar ink pads because I think they're so fun. So let's go in and we're gonna do Slippery When Wet, we'll do Stupid Cupid, and then let's do a little bit of Prom Queen still, and then we'll finish it off with a little bit of this Clear Skies color. So we'll do kind of these colors across the surface here. Hopefully we have room for all of them. So when I do it, I'm gonna go in with my stellar ink, and this is gonna be less of that, less of the pastel tones because we're using the ink pads at their full intensity this time. And so when it comes to using the stellar ink pads for this technique, with my Simon Hurley pads, I used to kind of swipe them on. With stellar ink pads, you can literally just like tap them almost like it's a stamp. And you're gonna get such a super great full coverage because the stellar ink pad has that foam surface to it. Okay, so because that foam is there, you are getting this amazing coverage onto that background. All right, let's go in with Stupid Cupid then. And then let's even do, and I always do like the lighter colors first. So I'm always doing that lighter color. And then let's even bring in a little bit of that Prom Queen, but let's do it kind of right in between these colors and just tap in a little bit of that using just the edge of the ink pad. And hopefully you don't want to like overlap the color to contaminate it at all. But one thing that I do is if I notice that I might have gotten a little bit of color from one ink pad into the other, I just blot off that area of the pad. These foam ink pads are more prone to taking in some of the colors, so that's why I start off with the lighter color first, because it's less likely to contaminate a darker ink pad than you are with like, if you went in with this pink first and then yellow on top, you don't want to really do that because you might mix them. Okay, and then we'll go in lastly with a little bit of Clear Skies, and we'll bring that in right at the bottom here, and just tap on that color. Okay, and just do it pretty lightly across that surface here, just like that. And you can see this is coated with ink now. I love these stellar inks so much, and I hope that if you've bought some of the stellar inks too, you notice just how amazing they are for doing techniques like this. Like the Simon Hurley ink pads are great too, but with them, you know, they get a little bit less ink or you have to use more pressure, whereas these, you just use that stellar ink and you very lightly tap it and you get all of the amazing color that you want on the surface there. So then I'm gonna go in and wipe off any of that excess ink that we have down on that surface. Linda says, I giggle every time Simon says Stupid Cupid. I know, it's kind of a fun and kind of funny color name, huh? I love naming them. We have so much fun doing that. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of water and just mist down this background. And you want to kind of mist it until that color starts moving. And once that color starts moving on that stencil, that's how you know you have the right amount. So look at this. Once that color kind of can blend and move on that stencil, you know you've got the right amount on that surface, okay? Then we'll take the stencil and we're just going to lay it right onto the surface of our stark white cardstock. And you can see it's already starting to soak in. And then we'll go in with a paper towel and just flatly lay that right on top, okay? Give a little bit of pressure as you're laying this right onto the surface of that background. And you want this paper towel. It's a very important step. Not a cloth, just one piece of paper towel and lay it over top and give some pressure. This is going to make it so that any of the excess ink is going to seep into here, okay? There's not any excess ink because I didn't use too much water. I used probably the perfect amount. But if any excess ink seeps out, you want it to catch in this paper towel and not muddy the design. Okay, if it catches in the paper towel, the design stays super clean. If it goes all over the cardstock, your design will kind of blend and mush together and not have those crisp lines anymore. So again, use the paper towel. It's pretty important to blot up any excess color. Then you'll notice once that color starts seeping in, because it really shows that there's like no moisture on the stencil anymore, that's when you're able to lift it off. Don't lift it off too soon, because then you'll kind of get a puddle at one end of the color. But once it's ready to lift off, that means it's all soaked in. Now, I use Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock for this because the Stark White cardstock is super absorbent, so you're gonna have it sink in a lot quicker than if you were to a watercolor cardstock. And it takes water pretty nicely still, but that's why I used this, because it just absorbs a lot quicker. Then I can go in, you don't need to, you could just let it air dry if you want to, but I'll just go in with a little dryer or heat tool here and heat set this on that surface to help dry that color along. And this gives us such a beautiful and intense watercolor background. I absolutely love it. The color will dry back just a little bit as you're seeing here, but not too much, and it gives you such a beautiful background. I love this technique using the stellar inks because you're able to get that really bold, crisp, and intense color with them, and you don't really lose any of that color intensity because there was so much ink that went onto that surface. Okay, so that's what I love so much about this. With the stellar inks, it just does such a great, solid watercolor impression, which I love. So now you know you can use the stencil regularly, you can emboss with the stencil, and you can also kind of stamp with watercolor with the stencil and use those inks to get a really great impression that leaves those butterflies white. I think that's amazing. All right, then let's go in here and we can set our stencil off to the side after we just wipe it off a little bit here. And then let's move into doing some techniques to kind of layer a butterfly on top of this, because I think that will be beautiful to just finish this off with a really great butterfly design. So to do this, I'm gonna go in using the same kit, and we'll use that butterfly die set, as well as, should we do one of the sentiments from this? Actually, let's do a sentiment from the Gina K set. So for the butterflies, I wanna use a big butterfly. Should we use this guy down here? I think that'll be really cool. So we'll use this large butterfly, which I really like. And then we'll go in and actually let's do the sentiment from this. Let's just do this because I think that thanks sentiment will be really nice. Okay, and then we'll pull this out here too. So these are the essential sentiments from Leah's kit, as well as the butterfly from Leah's kit. And let's do this too. Okay. Actually, do we need, let's leave this out because I think it'll still be cool with, actually, let's just bring it in case we want it. Okay. So let's do some die cutting now. To do the die cutting, I'm gonna go in with some of our cardstock. And I think for the butterfly, let's do a color. So let's do a color of our Spellbinders cardstock. And I think like this kind of color could be cool to sort of mimic one of those blues that we have on there. I like that. I think that's cool. Or we could do like kind of a peachy color. This is the color wheel cardstock from Spellbinders. So we could do like a pink or like a peachy. You know what, that peachy might be kind of cool. I like this. Okay, so let's do this peach kind of color. I'm not sure what color this is called, but I have all of the Spellbinders color wheel cardstock linked down below. It is by far my favorite colored cardstock to use because it's all 100-pound cardstock, so it is really nice and thick and sturdy, and it's all very smooth, takes ink nicely. Like, I just love their cardstock. They do a really great job at it. And then I'll go in with a piece of black cardstock for this. And for the black, we'll cut out the sentiment as well as the antenna. And then let's go in and let's do a shadow. So for the shadow, you guys know, I like to just rip off a little piece of vellum here. That's my very professional way of cutting it down and saving your guys' time. and then we'll go in and die cut this out. Should we do a little awkward die cutting? We'll stare at each other as we run these all right through our die cutting machine. That was really awkward. There was no cuts in that one, so it was a very long staring contest. All right, let me know who won. Did you guys blink or did you win the staring contest there? All right, we're gonna cut these guys right out, pop them out of our cardstock. This is beautiful. I love that there's all of that kind of cut detail in them with those lines. That just makes so much great detail and dimension on this butterfly. And then you can pop out any of those little pieces. And that also gives some really great detail to the wings here, which I think is awesome. Great. Okay. I know, it was a staring contest, right? Okay. So we'll just pop all of these guys out. I know, how fun is this pre-party, right? I agree. Simon Fest, the pre-party to SBC Fest, is so much fun. Now, after I've done it this year, I might have to do this every year, where I get everyone's kit and do this. Maybe I'll even get more of the kits next time, because this has been really fun to craft along with you guys and just show you some really great inspiration. So we'll put that off to the side. Now let's pop out this sentiment. These all cut out pretty well. Just pop it out. This one's a little more detailed, so I'm trying to be careful with it. Okay. Sometimes you don't want to pull too much because you don't know like what is going to bend when it's the first time using these dies. And this thanks is detailed, but I love it. It's got that really great kind of thin font to it, but it looks handwritten, which I think is amazing. And in that set, there's so many great sentiments. This is Lawson's kit again, and she's got some really great little tiny sentiments in there. Just poke that out with our little die there. And then this one also has a little shadow, which I cut out with some vellum. And I think that's going to be helpful to make the sentiment stand out. I love when sentiments have shadows like this. It makes a die set 10 times more usable, because if you've got something busy going on and you think your sentiment isn't standing out enough, a little bit of vellum or a little bit of white cardstock behind it, and then your sentiment on top, like that makes all of the difference, okay? So that's super important to have something like that. All right, and then the antenna to go on top. All right, so let's go in now and see how this all looks when we put it together. Okay. Yes, so for this butterfly, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do some blending. I just love to blend. You guys know me. If you know me, you know that like, I can't just leave this be. I have to add some color and dimension to it using some ink pads. It's just how I am. So for this, I think I'm gonna do a little bit. Let's bring this stupid Cupid in, and then let's also bring in a little bit of this just to see. So we'll start off with stupid Cupid. And I just wanna make it match this color a little bit because that's what we use on the background. And it is very similar to stupid Cupid, so you're gonna see it's not adding much down, but it is adding a little bit of shading. Oh, there we go, okay. Maybe this ink pad needs to be re-inked, honestly, because look at that color. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. So we'll leave this kind of very centerpiece, that lighter color. Okay. And if you guys don't ink your die cuts, I am telling you, people at Spellbinders even tell me, they're like, okay, Simon, like this is your specialty, is just throwing a bunch of ink at the die cuts. Like this is what you do best. And it really is. It is the only thing that I know how to do with die cutting. I really came into the die cutting world with Spellbinders when I created a line, let's see, was it 3 or 4 years ago with them? I remember sitting in a room with them and I was just like, you know guys, I've always stood by the fact that I really love stamping and I don't love die cutting. And so I wanted to make a line of dies that was super easy for everyone, but also I was like, you know, I don't really know what to do. So they gave me kind of lessons on die cutting and things like that. But then I've learned a lot over the years in it and learned how to really enjoy it and make products that I really love for die cutting. But the one thing that I really learned about die cutting and how much I love it now is just like the more dimension that you add, the more these die cuts really do come to life. So that's my like favorite part about the die cutting, and thing that I love about it now is you can really make these dies look 3D if you blend them. So if you feel like your project is falling flat or whatever, definitely go in and add some color because that makes it look like a 3D butterfly now, whereas earlier it might have just kind of blended into the rest of the cardstock background, okay? So that's the difference. Definitely add ink to your projects and it really comes to life. And I'm gonna go in here and wipe this off. And then let's go in and start adding this together. So for this, I'm gonna add do I need that center or do I want it just like this? Like weirdly enough, I kind of like that. I feel like this is gonna kind of take away from the sentiment. If I add that down, I know that that looks normal and good, but then it's gonna like block that thanks. But we'll see. Actually, I kind of think that it needs that. It just does. Okay, so we'll go in with our glue bottle. And I love that you guys are here with me. You're hearing all my thoughts because sometimes you don't need to add things like this centerpiece down if you're gonna make it like a focal point, but I think maybe I need it. I think it just looks great with that down. So I'm gonna do it. And then, let's see. Oh no, it came back up. You gotta hold it down a little bit longer, huh? Okay, cool. I like that. And then for the word, we're gonna go in with the thanks. Oh, you guys are smart. What about putting the antenna behind the body? Well, I already committed, so I'm not gonna pull it back up, but that would be kind of cool too. And it would still give the illusion of the antenna without maybe hiding the word too much. But after I put the word on top, I don't think that it took away too much from it. So that's why I'm still doing it. All right. Then we will put this right on top and hold it into place there. Cool. And so this gives that really great shadow, like I said. And that is going to help it stand out against something like that antenna. But I don't think that it blocks the sentiment too much. And I think that it still looks really great. So that's why I still did it. Now, you also could do something like this, like that. But I kind of I kind of am really into this. Like I kind of really need that butterfly to be centered, I think. What do you guys think? I'm thinking centered. I think that's really pretty, right? Or do you think that it needs to be like this? All right, while we do this, I'm going to go in with a background for our card panel. And I think that I'm going to cut this down to card size. So we'll go in and we will just trim this down just a little bit. We need to trim it down so that that little border goes off there. I know, I think that I like it on the butterfly too. Yep, okay, everyone is saying centered on butterfly. I agree. I'm glad we are all thinking alike here. So we'll go in and trim this guy down. Okay. And then for the card base, you guys know, if you've been following me for a little while, we released these stark white card bases and panels and stuff now, and I just love this. This is the side folding one. We also have top folding and little panels, but what I love about this is you're not taking yourself out of the card making, and all you need to do is fold it on that crease that we've already given you, and then you've got yourself the perfect card base. So you're not like taking yourself out of the process, which I really appreciate, because it kind of annoys me when I have to like go and cut down and score and fold. So this makes it so easy. Then we'll go in and we will place this right down, centered onto our card base. And this is gonna give us a little bit of a white border all the way around. Just like that. All right, I'm loving this. This is looking so beautiful. And then what do we think? Do we think we need a little glitter? I think I do. I think I do, guys. So for the glitter on this one, again, we have Unicorn Horn and Phoenix Feather Astro Paste. These have been some of my favorite two pastes to use. If you ask what Astro pastes do you need, I would probably say these two very first, and then, you know, of course, add on to your collection. But these are cool because this one is kind of a warm tone glitter. This one's a cool tone glitter, but they're both iridescent and clear. So you're still gonna see all the amazing blending that we did underneath it. You're not gonna hide that. and especially when you apply it on pretty thin. So I'm gonna go in with just my finger here. You can see a very little amount of that paste, and I'm going to really focus it on the edges where it's that darkest pink color, and then you can tap a little tiny bit inward, and that's going to kind of blend that paste and fade it out to the inside center of your butterfly. So just that tapping motion is going to give you this really beautiful effect. I love that. Check it out. So, so cool and very, very unique looking. Okay, so we'll go in and do that same thing on this butterfly. Amazing. And then we'll do it on this bottom wing. And I just think that is so cool. So much glitter goes into that, and it gives such an amazing sparkle and shine. And once this Astro paste is completely dry in your project, which when you apply it so thin like that, it really is only like a minute or two or less, and then it'll be completely dry, that's not gonna come off on your recipient's hand. So instead of like adding glue and sprinkling glitter onto your project and making a mess and having the glitter fall off at the end, this is really great because you don't need to do that at all. And it's going to give you such an amazing look to your project. And then we'll go in and we're just going to heat set this a little bit to make sure that it's nice and dry. And that is perfect. And then once that's done, again, that glitter is going nowhere and it is looking absolutely stunning on your card project. How cool is that? And then for a little bit of depth and dimension, we are going to go in with a little bit of foam tape to finish this card off. So grab a little bit of that foam tape and then we will cut it right down. We'll just cut this, make sure that none of those are showing through the holes of the butterfly. And this is going to pop it up really nicely off of the front and center of our card. Okay, so just like that, that looks amazing. And then we will pull these right off. I know you guys are saying you love the sparkles. That is amazing. And then we will go in and pop this right off front and center of our card. And I'm doing it like a little bit higher, kind of near that pink section. Just like this. All right, that is so beautiful. And then to finish this off, we are going to go in and add this sentiment down. Now, instead of using glue on this, because I don't love using liquid glue on vellum, I don't know, for some reason, it just sometimes doesn't stick as well for me, and sometimes it just takes too long to dry. I'm just gonna take a little bit of tape runner, and since the main sentiment is that black, which is kind of hiding any of the adhesive, you won't really see any adhesive underneath it. So that's totally fine with me. And I'm going to add a little bit of tape runner onto the back to stick this right down. Get rid of any of those little glue boogers on it with our tweezers. Sometimes you get a little glue booger because the adhesive gets kind of stuck behind there. And then we'll take our tweezers and just line the sentiment up perfectly front and center onto our card. And I love it. Going right across that butterfly, it is so, so stunning. How fun is that? So beautiful. I loved that we were able to emboss to get texture using that butterfly stencil, go back over it with ink blending and use those color cubes to get this amazing color combination. And then finishing it off with the Heirloom Butterflies die set and those really great sentiments. All the products that I used on this card are from Lawson's kit. And again, that kit is an $101 value and it is down to $26. And you can use the coupon code Crafty until Sunday ends and you can get an extra 13% off any of the kits. And then again, we were also able to stamp using that same exact stencil and some of the stellar inks to get a really beautiful stamped and colored, almost kind of like watercolor impression with little to no work. So I'm so obsessed with how these turned out. I am loving all the glitter on that butterfly too. That Phoenix feather glitter is gorgeous. Okay, next let's jump in to another one of our kits. Here I want to use the birthday kit again. So I'm gonna go in with the birthday kit. I think we're going to use the Streamers 3D embossing folder as well as probably a sentiment from this, unless we can find a great sentiment from Gina's. And we'll use the balloons again as well. And then from Gina's kit, I want to go in and I want to use that stamp set. Those textures have been calling my name. So I'm going to grab out this silhouette set, which it also does have birthday wishes. So I might use that sentiment too. And then that really great die set from this as well. And then what should we use this too? No, I think that I want to stick with the streamers embossing folder. So let's start off with a really basic background using that streamers 3D embossing folder. Now, to do my card here, I want to go in and pull out another color combination, okay? Because I tend to stick with the same birthday color combos, especially over and over and over. It's usually like reds, pinks, and yellows for me. So I want to come up with something different. I'm going into set number 3. And this has some really great color combinations in it. I think earlier, what was I looking in? I was looking in maybe Sugar Rush or Retro Flare, something like that. Let me look in here. I mean, that's gorgeous as is. Oh, should we pull out that? That's really pretty. Okay. And then I also like something like that is kind of cool too for like a more masculine card. And then I was just kind of looking in here, like I even really love this because there's like that great black in there, but that's really pretty too. With like blues, greens, and yellows. Oh, and I love that kind of like golden brown color. You know what, we might do that. I really want to stick with kind of a masculine birthday card now after looking at these, because I really love these kind of more muted tones. So I think those are really cool. Oh, yay. JRECM says, just buy your cardstock. Yay, I'm so excited that you're going to try it out. I think you're going to love it. Okay. The discount code you can use today to order your package is Crafty. It's down below. You can use code Crafty for an extra 13% off. Okay, so this is more of like a really vibrant and happy color combination, but I'm kind of loving something like one of these two, like this with kind of that honey yellow and then like this like orangey background. I think that can be really pretty. Or even like this like dark greenish blue. Let's look into some of the colors from Spellbinders. So they have this like really great navy, which is kind of similar. And they also have this color, which I'm loving this. You know what? This might be the color. I think this is going to be the background color that we're going to use for our embossing for sure, because this is gorgeous. And then we'll use it with a little bit of Loch Ness, which kind of matches this. And then we'll do some light balloons with like yellows and this kind of like orangey colors in between. And that'll give us a really kind of masculine look, which is awesome. So these are color cards 650, 645 from color cube number 3. So those definitely come in handy. If I can recommend one thing, these have really boosted my inspiration, just because they really give you ideas. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do, but this kind of darker color combination is cool. And then using some of these to like brighten it up is really gonna be fun, I think. Okay. And it just challenges me, which I think is awesome. So yesterday or 2 days ago, we used the streamers folder with a lot of colors. Today, I want to keep it simple and just do a darker background with the streamers. And then whenever I'm doing any sort of 3D embossing, you always want to mist the cardstock, especially because this Spellbinders Color Wheel 100-pound cardstock is very heavyweight, unlike a lot of colored cardstocks. So I love it, but it's a little bit prone to cracking if you don't mist it like this. Same thing with my cardstock because it's very thick. So you want to get it a little bit wet so that it kind of molds to the design a little bit easier. And then really awesome with these folders from scrapbook.com is that they made them this nice large size. So you're really able to go in and decide where you want it in that embossing folder before you place it down and really choose where you want those streamers. Okay, then let's go in with our Platinum 6-die cutting machine. Whenever you're doing a 3D embossing folder like this one from scrapbook.com or any from Spellbinders, you'll go in with the A platform base. Then you're gonna go in with your 3D embossing folder. And then you'll go in with the D adapter plate, which is this kind of hard gray plate. And then you'll place that right on top and run it right through. There is a digital version of the color cubes. I'm not sure if they're still working on it or if it's already available, but I know all the information is on that same page. So if you find the color cubes link down below, you can find a lot of different information on different ways to buy them, because I know they come in a lot of different types of bundles. All right, so that is all nice and 3D embossed then. And that is going to give us this amazing texture. check it out. And there's no cracking. It's very smooth because of the way that we went through and we made sure to spray our cardstock down to get a really smooth result on there. Okay, so then we'll go in and we're going to put this right away. All right, and then I'm going to just heat set this nice because I want to make sure that any of that residual water is out of that cardstock. Linda says, what's the best way to store embossing folders? Let me show you. So this is how I store my embossing folders. It's by no means perfect, but I'm gonna just show you anyways. So I actually store them in the same sleeves as my Altenew stamp sleeves. These are really great. I can link them after the live stream, but they work really great for 6x9 stamp sets, which is in my line. And then the awesome part is a lot of my 3D embossing folders have like coordinating stencils, or like this one has a coordinating die. And I was just storing these by themselves, but then I would kind of lose some of the pieces that go along with it. So now I put them inside of these sleeves just because anything that comes with the folder, I want to be able to have along with it. So like this Puffy Heart has a stencil, so I keep them inside of these folders like this. It really works well for me, but it's by no means perfect. Okay, so then for this, again, I have a problem, so I'm gonna go in with some ink and we're going to ink blend this background. We're using Loch Ness, which is this really nice dark teal color. For this blending brush, I just used Midnight Snack on it, so I wanna be careful and make sure that I'm getting this Loch Ness color. So we'll just kind of wipe it off until we get this kind of greenish blue color, which is Loch Ness. All right. Then we will go in and start blending down on the surface. Karen Clausen says, can you repeat the two pastes you recommended? For the Astro paste, I recommend Unicorn Horn and Phoenix Feather. There's other colors I recommend too, like Slippery and Wet if you want like a really good gold, but those are my two clear ones, so I just use them really often. Okay, then we'll go in and we'll go and just blend this around the edge. The reason why I blend this right around the edge is because it gives the dark outside of the card kind of this nice shading and depth and dimension while leaving the center of the card lighter. And usually that helps draw your eye to the center. So wherever we put in the center, you're gonna be naturally have your eyes drawn in because it's much lighter, and that's where your eyes want to go on the card. So that's why sometimes I do this blending around the edge. It creates kind of a vignette and it gives you a really great dimensional look to your card. So we're going in with kind of a heavy hand. Again, with these blending brushes, you can really give lots of pressure onto the surface because then it'll give you a nice dark blend. So earlier I was going with a really light hand. Here I'm going in with a really heavy hand because I want lots of intense ink around that edge. And again, this is that color wheel cardstock. I'm telling you, the color wheel cardstock, I recommend getting it in your favorite colors that you know you're gonna use often. And I go through this stuff like mad for die cutting, but also just for like card bases and stuff. It really is so nice and thick. Whereas like some other colored cardstocks, you buy one color and then a different color is like a different thickness. But Spellbinders, I was actually with them when they we're kind of finalizing some of this. They worked really hard to make a lot of different custom colored cardstocks that are custom dyed, and that way they know that they're all the same weight and they all are gonna take ink well and they're all nice and smooth. They're gonna be great for foiling and embossing and die cutting, but I love that about them is that you know you're getting really thick cardstock no matter which color it is, okay? So really great quality stuff here. And it matches some of my colors too, so I really like that as well, because I don't have colored cardstocks, but I can find colors that are similar in the Spellbinders line to my colors if I want to kind of match here. So like you saw, you know, we used that kind of pink color earlier. We added a little ink on top of it if we wanted to match even better. And then here, that matches really well with the Loch Ness color. So love it. Okay. Then we're going to go in and we're just going to create our card base right away because why not? It's easy to do. Again, we're going to use our stark white card bases that are already pre-scored and cut, and we'll use a side folding card base and just fold it right down. Super easy to do. And then we're going to add our tape runner right down to the card base itself. And we're not going to cut down our cardstock. We're going to let the colored cardstock be the whole card base here. So to do this, whenever I'm adhering this down, which I'm trying to figure out, I think this is the right way up. Whenever I'm adhering something like this down, I always start off where the folded edge is. So like if I'm doing a top folding one, start at the top. The side folding one, I'll start at the side. and you'll line it up along that folded edge because you can't cut anything off of the folded edge. So you want to line it up with that first. That'll usually line it up with the rest of the card really nicely. And then sometimes, you know, the cardstock might be bigger, the cardstock might be smaller, depending on how I cut things down. So it's nice and lined up with the folded edge, but then you can chop off any of the excess white on the sides there. Because nothing's ever perfect. I'm sure that when I cut down this colored cardstock, I probably cut it down just a little too small. So we can just go in with our little trimmer then, line this up, and trim it right down. And this trimmer from Tim and Tonic really goes through the cardstock nicely. And this is like, what, 3 layers of cardstock? So it's great. So an effortless trim, and that will cut down the side of the card to all be nice and flush with the colored cardstock. All right. So then let's go in and let's do some balloons. So for the balloons, let's do some of these colors like we saw earlier. So I want to go into the watercolor pack and just see if there's any colors that are similar to these. And if there's not, then we'll use just the Spellbinders cardstock. This is more of like a pastel watercolor collection. So, I mean, not perfect, but we have like some of these colors in here. Yeah, but it's not really the same. Like it's kind of giving more of a pastel vibe, which I think against this, it needs to be more of these tones. So I'm gonna go in with some of the Spellbinders cardstock again and just choose some colors that I think kind of go. Like this one kind of looks similar to some of those. This one could kind of, but this one's a little too bright, I think. And then we'll go in with, should we do like something a little darker? We could always try this craft color too. I mean, that's kind of cool. And then let's see, we could always do like a lighter teal. Like even something like this is kind of in there. Something like this. And I don't know the names of these colors. I really don't memorize the color names, but again, all these ones that I'm picking are from that Spellbinders line. And then, you know what? You know what? That's beautiful. Okay. I think that's really cool. I really like these 3, I think. Those are stunning. All right. So we pulled out some colored cardstocks that we like for the balloons. I think this is gonna be like a beautiful kind of masculine colored cardstock. And again, thank you to these color wheels. Definitely jewel, kind of more muted tones here. So to get the balloon shape, we're gonna go in with our balloon dies. And let's see, we want to stick with a couple different sizes. So we'll do like this size, and then should we do smaller too? Like that size looks good. And then do we do even smaller? Or do we just cut it out of like those 2 and then keep cutting it out of those 2? I don't think this small balloon is really it, but we'll try it. And then we'll go in with some of our balloon strings. I lost one of the balloon strings. I don't know where it went, to be honest. So we'll pop these guys out. And then do we need I don't think we're gonna do these, because I just want the regular balloons and I don't think I need the shadows. It'll add too much kind of distraction. So for this, we're going to cut out our balloon shapes, and I'm just going to go in here and cut these guys out with some of our colors. So I think I want this big one to be like the lightest color, and then we'll go in with some of these other colors and cut them out. We'll do this pretty quickly. Just run it right through. This is our speed round about our die cutting. You know, Jennifer said, I don't know about that green though. You know, I don't know about it either, but we'll see. We can always edit when we're adding things down. I don't know. I think that's kind of pretty though. I think I kind of like it. Okay, and then we'll grab a little one out of this and then a bigger one out of here. And why not throw a bigger one out of this green too? Just because. Oh, you guys are saying try craft over the green. You know what, we could. Let's cut out a couple of those craft balloons too, just because. I think this is gonna be really fun to have these balloons in here. I do like that green though. It's kind of pretty, but I don't know if it goes with the blue background. Maybe that's what you guys are saying too. Okay, I like that so far. I mean, it's kind of cool, but let's try this. So we'll bring out the craft again, just because I don't know how it's gonna look, but we'll try it. And then this yellow, which I think that yellow is really pretty. Okay, we'll go in with the yellow, and then we want like a smaller one of the yellow too. And then we'll cut out this craft. Okay, so yes, Kim, don't worry. We are still going to do the texture stamp from Gina's kit. That's gonna be after all these are die cut, so we're just getting them all die cut. But thank you for reminding me, because otherwise, knowing me, you know what? I would have cut these out and adhered them right down. I would have, so thank you. I'm not the biggest fan of that color. I don't really like that. I kind of like the green, honestly. I know, it's weird maybe, but I do. Okay, and then we'll cut out one more yellow. And then for the strings, we're gonna cut out the strings with, do we need strings? I think you guys are gonna say yes. We're gonna at least do a couple strings. I don't know if we're gonna do all of them. And we'll just do this out of a white colored cardstock. Okay. Or should we do black? Because the white is gonna be really stark. And I don't want them to be super stark. I want them to actually kind of blend in. So we'll go in with black cardstock. Okay, some of you guys are liking the green, some of you guys don't like it. It's okay. I could always draw on the strings. You know what, Laura, you're right. But honestly, I would be scared. I think I would be scared to freehand them. So that is why we're cutting the strings. And I think I'm gonna only add like 4 strings on, like just to a couple of the balloons, but I'm just gonna bring them out just because. So we'll do one more round of the strings. So guys, you're all saying that the strings are gonna be too subtle with the black, but I kind of think that I want them to be subtle. That's the goal here. I want them to be there, but I don't want them to take over. And so that's why I'm doing black. Sometimes you actually don't, sometimes you want the little details, but you don't want to like see them too much. That's like what I think layering is all about, but I could be completely wrong here too. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like making a card and I'm like, this is ugly. So we could be completely wrong, but I think this is gonna look kind of cool. Okay, so now for this texture, I wanna just figure out what I'm gonna do here for the layout. This is what I always like to do, just kind of see how things are looking so far. So I want this balloon kind of in this corner here. We'll put it just like that maybe. And then I'm gonna do like a lighter color balloon with it. Maybe we'll do green because I do like that. So I like those two right there. And I don't want to overcrowd this card too much. So I'm going to do like this balloon maybe up here. And then we'll do maybe a yellow one right here. And then we'll do maybe a teal balloon kind of right up there. And then, you know what? Like I don't want to crowd it too much because we're going to have a sentiment in here too. I mean, I could maybe do one more here if I wanted to. But I don't know. I don't want to do too many. So I think I like this. I'm going to leave this layout. I know that it seems empty right now, but once we add a sentiment, I think things are going to start coming to life. So now let's do some of Gina's texture stamps, because I think Gina's texture stamps are really cool and maybe going to be overlooked, but this is really cool. I can imagine Gina's going to do some really cool techniques with this. I think that's why she included these, of course. But I think that I'm going to use them to stamp on top of some of these. So we're going to go in with these textures. So she's got little dots and she's got little stripes. Now, I think, what do I want to do? I want to stamp them kind of solid. So we'll go in with our acrylic blocks and we will lift these guys up. Okay, and then we're going to go in and wipe our stamps off. This is just going to make them conditioned and ready to stamp with. Okay, and then we're going to do our stamping. So for this yellow one, I'm gonna use a little bit of our color Slippery When Wet. I think that's gonna look great. Now again, I can kind of find colors that are similar in the Simon Hurley Stellar line as are with the Spellbinders color wheel cardstock. So that's what I love about them, is I can kind of find colors that are similar as I stamp. So cool, I love that. And then we'll go in and do another one. We'll just kind of line it back up and stamp that right down. Cool, that looks great. I love it. It just adds texture, it just adds fun to these, right? And that is what we're here for. Okay, now let's do another one with this. So we'll go back in, and I love these Stellar inks. Again, guys, if you haven't invested in the Stellar inks yet, maybe you're holding off, I highly recommend it. They stamp well, they blend beautifully as you've seen through today's live, but they also just stamp so solid. So that's amazing. And then they watercolor beautifully too. So some really great techniques as you've seen all throughout today's live with what the Stellar inks can really do. They also clean off nicely with water, which is really great. So most of the colors don't stain. Some of them do stain a little bit if it's like a really dark red, but most of them don't stain too much. And then let's go in with Loch Ness for this light green, or what should we do? No, we should do Tropical Tango. Loch Ness is maybe gonna be a little bit too dark, whereas this really is gonna match it nicely. Now also, I think you guys are really seeing this different on screen, because now that I'm looking at my screen, it looks really almost lucky, like leprechaun green, so does this, whereas these are more like teal kind of colors. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna ink that up. I love that. Patty says you need the Stellar inks, all of them. I agree. I have full set syndrome, so like when these colors launch, when any colors launch from any line, I'm like, I need all of those. Okay, that's beautiful. All right, and then we'll do this little guy. And we'll stamp another one with stripes on that teal. That is so fun. I just love these textures. So Gina, thank you for including these in your kit. I think they're gonna be so fun for SBC Fest. And here we're using Justin's kit and Gina's kind of together. So I think that's really fun too. Now for this, let's do another one of these with, should we do dots again? I think we're gonna do dots again. And for this, let's do Love Bomb. I know it's not the same kind of color, but it's gonna give us a similar effect, because when we stamp this down, it's stamping a translucent dye-based ink onto a darker colored cardstock. So it will kind of take on that color, but it just will be a little bit darker. So Love Bomb is dark enough that it's going to go on top of there and create a similar color look to it. You guys will see. So don't worry about it being perfectly of a match, because it'll still look really good on there. It's still red enough and it will stamp down beautifully. I love it. This is making me hungry for Swiss cheese. See that yellow there? That's making me need some Swiss. All right. I'm gonna go in here, wipe this off, and then we will go in and add our pieces down. Let me wipe this off if there's any excess ink from those lids on here. All right, then let's start putting these guys down. So I think this is gonna go right here, and I think this is going to go straight down to the card. So I'm gonna add this down with a little bit of tape runner. I know the tone-on-tone stamping is awesome. I love doing tone-on-tone stamping. It's something that sometimes I think people don't think of enough, but it is beautiful when you do it. It just works so well. Like even this tone-on-tone blue in the background, it just draws your eye so much into the center that it's great. Now this one is gonna go on foam tape. So we will go in with a little bit of that Altenew foam tape wherever I decided to put it. underneath stuff, of course. And then we will go in, chop this right down, and add it right to our balloon. So by staggering them, like some down onto the card, some on foam tape here, it's gonna give us some really great dimension for our project. So this is going to go down a little bit further, just like this, at a little bit of an angle too. I think that's really fun. And then this is gonna go right up here to fill in some of that space. And I think this is gonna go on some foam tape as well. Or should I do this one flat? No, I think some foam. We're gonna just do foam. Why not? Why not? Am I right? When in doubt, foam tape it out. That's my new motto. All right. We will add this onto some foam tape. I know, right? I'm a true Wisconsinite, needing some Swiss cheese in the middle of a card. Okay, let's put that right down. And then let's see, I think that's gonna go right there. Or did we decide? Did we decide we wanted a teal balloon there or a yellow? I think I want yellow. What did I have earlier? Did I have teal there? Now I'm lost. You know what? I think I had like another balloon up here, but I don't think I want that. Maybe I do. Maybe I like this. I like that. And like one down here. Cool. I think that's cool. All right. So let's do this. Sometimes you just got to stop thinking about it and start adhering. And then we will add this one down too, straight down to the card. Okay, then let's go on here and we'll just trim any of the excess off. Cool. And then we'll add our strings right down. So for the strings, we're gonna go in with a little bit of liquid adhesive, and I'm just going to glue them down just like this. And we actually did make enough strings for this. So that's great. And you guys see, this is what I wanted. I wanted the strings to be not noticeable because there's already a lot going on this card. So these strings are just, they're there, but they're barely there, and that's what I want. So now you guys know the method to my madness earlier. I didn't want a lighter color because that's just gonna make them really stand out, whereas I just want them to blend in because sometimes too much is just, there's just too much going on a card, and you need to like make some of the layers blend in a little bit more. And we're gonna have this one kind of going underneath and going around. That's cool. And then this one, should we have going on top of the other balloons? I don't think we need it on top. I think we just wanna cut it like a little shorter, just like that. And then we'll make it like, we'll kind of make it dangle on top still, but not as long. And then same thing for this one. All right, cool. All right. Then we'll glue these right down. Hopefully this isn't boring to you guys. I know it's a little bit slower, but I'm having so much fun still. And then again, if you buy these kits, you can always come back to this video and be like, you know, creating the same cards with me. All right, now let's finish it off with a sentiment. I want a Gina K sentiment here because there's a lot going on, and I want the sentiment to be kind of small and be able to fit in a smaller area on this card, okay? So for the sentiment, I think that I'm going to do it on this same kind of blue colored cardstock, or should we do maybe a black sentiment onto a strip that says birthday wishes. Yeah, okay. So we'll do this right on here. Just grab an acrylic block, and then I'm going to stamp it. We could always do like white cardstock, and we could stamp it with Black Widow. And Black Widow is like my go-to black ink. You know what? We need to wipe this off. This just needs to, I need to condition the stamp a little bit. All right, so Black Widow is my stellar ink, and you can see the ink is sticking a lot better now. It stamps super crisp and jet black. So the options are this, which I think looks classic and gorgeous. It matches the strings. It will be stunning. Or we can go in and match the background color. So this is Loch Ness. This is kind of what we used in the background. I think it's gonna be beautiful. And one thing that I've been really doing now that I have stellar inks and they stamp really solid and beautiful is I've just been stamping down sentiments in different colors now because you have the opportunity to do so. And I think that looks gorgeous as well. So I think that is beautiful. All right. Glad it's not boring. Glad you guys are still enjoying it. So those are some really great sentiments. Now we can go in with our die set from Gina K. And let's do, what is it? Is it this one? Or is it this? I think it's this. Birthday Wishes. And I think I'm gonna do this. Let's do black. Black on white is classic. I do love the other one, but I know this Gina K set is really good. So like I said earlier, if you do want to get Gina's, I would definitely recommend getting it now. You guys can see my hair going in there, but I'm gonna need to get over the sentiment, so don't mind me. If there's anything in there, don't tell me. And I'm gonna go in and cut this guy out. And we will use our little Simon Hurley Scout die cutting machine. This is my favorite die cutting machine because it's so simple to die cut with. But then it's still got the same metal rollers inside of here as your larger die cutting machines. So it's still gonna give you all the power, but it's just way easier to die cut with for me. And usually I keep it on my desk most of the time, but it is just amazing for die cutting. Okay, cool, 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 cool. I like that. I really do. I like it, it's just classic. All right, we're gonna stick with that. You can just never go wrong with a black on white sentiment or a white on black sentiment. It always looks good. Now the question is, where do I place it? And I think I wanna place it over here just because that fills in some of the room. I love that. I really do. Okay, so for this side of the sentiment, we're gonna add it down on some tape runner. And then on this side of the sentiment, we're gonna add it down on some foam tape to pop it off the card. Thank you. A lot of you guys are saying you're loving this card. You know what? It was kind of a roller coaster of emotions because I didn't know if I was loving it in the middle of making it, but now I like it. It really came together. I'm telling you guys, the color combinations that color cube makes, sometimes I'm like, that's like weird, but then I do it and I'm like, okay, wait, that's really pretty. And you just gotta trust the process. All right, that is gorgeous. I love it. So again, this was mixing Justin Adkins' kit together along with Gina K's. A lot of the birthday supplies came from Justin's kit, including that streamers, background, embossing folder from scrapbook.com from that kit, as well as the birthday balloons and all the amazing stuff that we used in it. The texture stamps that we used on top of the birthday balloons are from that Gina K Designs kit, as well as that really great birthday wishes sentiment. You can always trust Gina for a really good scripty sentiment, and I absolutely love it. So fun. This card turned out really great in the end. It was definitely a trust the process kind of card, but I really do love, love, love how it turned out. Okay. Should we do one more card? Should we? I think we should. I think we have the opportunity to do one more card with Gina's kit, and I want to show you guys a really fun technique using inks, and we're going to do kind of a resist technique because I think that is going to be so fun. So for the resist, let's go in, and I want to go into my color cube, and I know there was one that said florals. Was it this one? Floral arrangements, yes, it is this one. I'll put these away right afterwards. Floral arrangements. We're gonna go in and find a color from there. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. I'm not gonna do that one though. Oh, that one might be the one. Wow, okay. Oh, I like this too. Oh no, I'm really throwing for a loop. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just do this because that's what I like the most so far. And if I look through too many of these, I'm gonna like get roped in. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. Oh, I could do that. You know me, and I like my bright colors, but let me stick with the one I have. I like that. Okay, floral arrangements. So I love that these are categorized so you can kind of find stuff for what you're doing, because I'm gonna use the flowers from Gina's kit. So we're finding some of the floral arrangement ones. So I'm gonna stick with these kind of color themes, and we're gonna start off by just blending out a background. So to do this, I'm going in with my Altenew sticky mat again. I know, Ida, right? Stop looking before you change your mind again, right? So we will go in with our Altenew sticky mat. This is mainly just to help stick things down as I do my ink blending. Then I'm gonna go in with my stark white cardstock, and we're going to stick this right down to our surface. And if you guys have been wanting to try the stark white cardstock, I can definitely recommend, let me grab it out here. So while you're shopping at scrapbook.com, they have this pack of stark white cardstock that's called the Stark White Cardstock Surface Sampler Pack. This is really great because inside of here you get 2 full sheets, you get 4 card panels, and then you get 2 top folding card bases and 2 side folding card bases. So you really get like a lot of the pieces that I've been showing you during today's live stream to craft with, and you can test out all the different packs of cardstock that we make our stark white cardstock in. That way, if you love the stark white cardstock, you're going in at a very minimal investment there. If you love it, you can always get a full pack of it or kind of buy it in the different packs that we sell. But if you don't end up liking it, you just have that little sampler pack. So that's a really great investment that a lot of people have bought to try out the cardstock before they know that they fully love it. And then once they inevitably do love it, they end up buying an actual pack of cardstock. But I can definitely say that that is super helpful. So search up like Stark White Cardstock Sampler while you're on scrapbook.com and you'll find that, and that's really helpful to try it out. Because this cardstock takes ink so well, as you guys have seen throughout today's live. So it's going to give you a really great blend and really take the ink super nicely. Okay, so for the colors, I'm gonna do Crown Me right there. Let's do Love Bomb for this color because I feel like that's kind of similar. It's a little more purpley, but when these two mix, they'll create that purple color. Then we'll go in with like a reddish color for that kind of orangey. I don't know, I don't have like a perfect orangey red. Maybe we'll blend a little bit of orange into it to make that perfect color. So we'll do a little bit of color mixing too. And then for this one, we'll try Stupid Cupid again. All right, and then there's these two, which I think we're gonna leave out for now, and maybe we'll use that for a sentiment or for a background, okay? So let's do our ink blending. We're gonna start off with a little bit of Crown Me, and we're going to go in with our blending brush and blend this out. So we'll go in and do our blending on our surface. I don't know how dark I want it. Let's start off kind of lighter handed, and we can always go darker if we want to. All right, that is a gorgeous blend of color. So the reason why I love this dark white cardstock is because there's no coating on top of the cardstock, so it takes ink really well. Some cardstocks have like a coating on top and you can't really even feel it. Like the cardstock that I used to use before I moved into stark white and came out with this cardstock, it had a coating on it, and I never knew that. But when the ink dries, it doesn't fully seep into the cardstock. Whereas on the stark white, you can really layer your color up as much as you want and get a really dark, rich, intense color like you've been seeing today. And it won't stop you from doing that because there's no coating on top of the surface, which I really like that. So it takes the ink and it takes water and watercoloring really, really nicely. Okay, next let's move into Love Bomb. We're going to blend this together, and I think that Love Bomb and the Crown Me, I think did we choose Crown Me? Yeah, Crown Me is gonna blend super beautifully together. All right, so then we'll go in, we'll just tap it off to the side to make sure we get a nice smooth blend into each other. And then we'll blend it right in. And that is gorgeous. How great is that? Oh, I love it. It's like gonna be so great for a floral kind of blend. And it just smooths together so beautifully. Oh, I love that. All right, so tap off some of the excess and then blend it together. Stunning, so good. And then for the next color, we are going to wipe off our blending brush onto a piece of paper towel to just make sure this is nice and clean. And then for this next one, we'll go in with a little bit of check engine, which I think is gonna make that kind of orangey, and then we'll go over it with a little bit of red maybe, and that's gonna like create a really beautiful blend. So we'll start off with this. We'll see where we're at with that, and then we can blend a little bit on top of it. So the Simon Hurley inks and the Stellar inks, they're both the same formula, but the Stellar inks have that foam ink pad. The Simon Hurley inks have that felt ink pad. Are going to be translucent dye-based inks. So when you layer them on top of each other, you can create new colors in between because they're going to blend on top of each other. So they're going to layer perfectly, and you're gonna be able to see whatever color that you put underneath it and create your own gorgeous color blends. So we'll overlap this with Love Bomb to get a really nice smooth blend, and then we'll carry it up a little bit further for our next color. And then you can see that's a lot more orange than the example there. It's close, but it's not the same. Check Engine's kind of like a pumpkin-y color. And so then we can go in, oh, I used my red blending brush with my orange. I'll clean this after the live, but then we can go in with a little bit of Bee Sting. And Bee Sting is kind of a lighter red than Love Bomb, and we'll just blend this over top. And so you can see that's gonna kind of edit the color. Do you see that difference already? It's gonna kind of edit the color and make it more of like a reddish orange color. It's kind of weird and really cool how that happens, but don't be afraid to layer and kind of mix your color of inks. And I just do it right on top of the surface there because you can really change the color drastically. And so now we have that kind of reddish orange look. It's not as muted as all these colors, but I like my bright colors anyways, so I think it'll look great. And then we will go in with a little bit of Stupid Cupid to kind of finish it off with that like light rose color. I don't know if this is really gonna look super like that one, but we're trying our best. And really this is just like a jumping off place for color combinations. You can do similar colors like this and still have it work really well. But if we want to edit our color again, I'm kind of getting an idea on the spot here, so hopefully it works. If we want to edit our color and make it more of like a dusty kind of mauve or like rose color, like that example, we can then go into a different color. So like, let's use Cookie Dough. Now everyone tells me they love Cookie Dough. I love this color so much, but everyone's like, there's no color like Cookie Dough, and there really isn't in the industry. So I'm so glad we mastered like the perfect kind of cream color. And I'm just gonna blend this over top and see if it makes it, yeah, it's making it more of like a dusty kind of mauve, like that example. That's really cool. So this part is definitely edited, and you can put that kind of brownish tan over top of that pink color, and it'll kind of mute it down a little bit more while still keeping it that same tone of ink. So really cool. Don't be afraid to edit your colors and get that really great blend of color, and kind of change your colors as you're going to match them to however you feel. Okay, so you can always add things on top to get that really beautiful color blend. All right, that is absolutely stunning. You can see that color is soaked with color there, but I think it looks absolutely stunning on that card. I love it. Now, for this, we're gonna go in, just spray this down. And then we will wipe this right off the surface. And there we go. Then we can put this right away into our little bag to make sure there's no dust on this mat. Okay. And then let's go in and heat set this. Now, we want to heat set this to make sure that there is no ink on the surface. Whenever you're doing ink blending, the ink is really it's gonna dry pretty quickly. Like you can tell there's no ink on the surface left, but the ink is gonna kind of sit inside of that cardstock for a while and not be completely dry. And we want this surface to be bone dry, okay? We want you to be able to feel absolutely no moisture in that cardstock. So to do that, we're just going to go in with our heat tool and we're going to really just slowly heat all of this to make sure that it's nice and dry. You can also just leave this off to the side, but heating it is going to help it speed along in the drying process. And I lift it up from the craft mat so that way the heat can pass through it and there's no moisture getting left behind it, okay? So heat the back, heat the front. You really just want to dry this down. And you can see that as we're heating this, the colors are blending together even more. There is kind of a smoothing agent in my inks. It's very subtle because the inks already blend together beautifully, but when they dry, they do smooth together even a little bit more. And you'll see that blend really molds together and becomes such a gorgeous blend of colors. I love it. So once that's all done, to test out to see if it's dry, and now my fingers are like sweaty, so we want to make sure that it's not going to transfer. I also like to take a little bit of anti-static powder tool. So you can take a powder bag before, this is what you use before heat embossing, and you're just going to tap it on that surface, wipe it around, and this is going to make sure that any extra moisture is not going to be on your card, okay? So that way any embossing that we do on here isn't going to stick where we don't want it to, all right? So powder that all up, and then I like to go in with my clear heat embossing powder, and I just go in and make sure that nothing on this surface is still wet, okay? So to do this, you just throw over a little heat embossing powder, tap off any of the excess, and look, it stuck only to this little area here. It didn't stick anywhere else. So let's see, anywhere else. Okay, and it stuck a little bit up to these corners too. So those are the only areas that aren't still dry. We're gonna tap off any of that excess powder because we don't want to heat set it. And we're just going to heat set those areas a little bit more. So up here, it was still a little wet. So heat set that down. And then over here. All right, that should be good. One more time, I'm gonna hit it with the anti-static powder tool in these areas especially, and all over the cardstock to make sure that it doesn't stick where we don't want it to. Okay, now next we're gonna go in and do some stamping with Gina K's stamp set. So this is the textured silhouette stamp set. Again, I really love this one, and I haven't used many of the other leaves and florals from this set. So that is mainly what we're gonna be using today. So for this, I'm gonna go in with one of my larger Simon Hurley acrylic blocks. This is larger and just slightly thinner than my other ones, but I really love it for backgrounds, but then also like larger stamps from your set will fit really nicely onto here. And I'm just gonna go in with this kind of rose floral image and put that right in the center. And then we'll put some other images around it, like these leaves, to kind of create our own custom pattern builder, okay? So then we'll throw in this leaf. And let's see, where do we want to stamp this? I want to stamp this leaf coming out of this side of the flower. And so we're kind of building a block of a pattern here. Okay, notice how I'm not doing it all around the flower. I'm just creating my own little pattern. And then we'll also add in another floral, like right here. And then we'll throw in these dots too, because why not? 1 dot, 2 dots, and then we'll throw in one more leaf right over here. I think that'll be cool, okay? So notice how it's kind of like a rectangle, okay? That's gonna make this pattern really easy to fit into each other, and you'll see as we stamp it all around. But you don't want it to be all wonky edges because then it'll be really difficult to fit into each other on a design. Now, if you have more stamps, you can of course do more across the surface, but this is kind of the main stamps from the set that I want to use. So again, we'll go in and we're going to get these ready to take the ink by just rubbing our fingers across them. That's going to take the ink very nicely then. It kind of helps prep the stamps. And then we're going to go in and do some heat embossing. So to do this, I'm going to use a Versamark sticky ink. This is clear sticky ink. And we're going to stamp, or we're going to ink all of these guys up, okay? So ink them up really good with that clear sticky ink, and then we're gonna start our pattern. Now we can start our pattern wherever we want to, but I'm gonna kind of just start it right into the center of the card, right here. And we'll kind of twist it. We'll just twist it at an angle like this. That's perfect. That's a good way to start our pattern. It doesn't really matter where you stamp it on your card at all. You just want to stamp it down to start. And then we really can't see this, okay? You can see it a little bit in real life, but it's really hard to see. So to make this visible and continue our pattern, we're gonna go in with our clear heat embossing powder, and we're going to go right in and throw our embossing powder right over top of that design. Tap off any of the excess. That's gonna make your design really visible for you now, okay? So now you can really see where that is. Then we're going to continue creating our own pattern paper. So again, this is like a rectangle of a design rather than being wonky edges, because now we're able to match this design up and we can kind of rotate it and flip it around. And this is going to fit really well next to the other design that we've already stamped. So I'm really rotating it and flipping it so that it's not just stamping like a grid of a pattern over and over. We're rotating it so that it doesn't look recognizable, and so that we can stamp it over and it fits into each other really nicely because it's just rectangles instead of being a bunch of wonky edges, and then throw over the powder and tap off the excess. And you can do this as many times as you want. We're practically creating our own pattern paper here, okay? So that's why I love stamp sets like this with a bunch of little images, because then you can pretty much create your own kind of pattern cardstock with it, okay? This I'm gonna stamp right over here, turning it, and again, that rectangle fits right into each other, which is great. We're gonna stamp this little image right in the corner there, where there's a little extra room, and then we will throw over a little bit more heat embossing powder. Tap off any of the excess. Cool, look how that's coming out. Really great. I'm loving this so far. And then we will stamp down another design. And let's see, let me put this one right here. I want this rose to be like right about there. Cool. And you'll notice with this, when we stamp this down, you'll notice there's a little bit of room right here. Don't worry, we'll fix that at the end. Just keep stamping and keep rotating your image. Let's see, I want this rose like right over here. I want there to be a lot of these roses in the design, so that's why I'm stamping those. Okay, so then we will go in and throw this over. So this is really great. If you buy Gina's kit, hopefully you can do this exact same card. If you don't end up getting Gina's kit, look in your stash for any stamp set where you have a lot of these little solid images. I know Gina's got a lot of sets like this. I even have quite a few sets of images like this in my line of just like silhouettes you can use for this technique. And they work really well for something like this. So then you're gonna go in and take an image. So let's take these two images, this leaf and this little floral. Let's take these guys and we're gonna put them onto a separate acrylic block here. So we'll do this one like that, and we'll do this little guy just like that. This is gonna make it so that now we can stamp that image separately all throughout and fill in any of the areas in our background where there's more room. So we'll stamp it on the edges, we'll stamp, and then we'll go in with this one because we don't want to just fill in with only one image. And so this is like a larger area, so we'll fill it in with this leaf. And then there's another area over here where like this edge didn't really get much, so we'll stamp that leaf there. Okay, so that just fills in the rest of the background. Then we will go back in with our powder and we're going to throw over any of the excess. Now notice I haven't heated anything yet. Nothing is getting heated yet. We are just still throwing our embossing powder down and stamping. Then we'll tap off any of the excess. Tap, tap, tap. You don't want to tap too hard, but just make sure to get rid of any of the excess on there. And then we are ready to do our heat embossing. Now for this, it's gonna get a little bit loud. I use this heat embossing tool. It's very strong. You're gonna want to let it heat up, and then you're gonna heat set your whole background, okay? All right. So once that is all heated up, heated embossing never gets old, right? You want to heat it until it's nice and clear and shiny, but you don't want to overheat it. So heat it till it's clear and shiny, but don't overheat it, because if you overheat it, it will actually become dull and kind of sink into the cardstock, and then you won't get the same resist effect. So you want to heat set it, because then it gives this shiny effect and it's going to resist anything that we put on top of it now. Okay, now we want the colors of these floral images to be this really bright look, and we want the rest of the background now to kind of blend in and become a lot darker, okay? And so for this, I'm gonna use my Stellar ink pad in the Black Widow powder, or in the Black Widow color. This is absolutely stunning. It's gonna give us a really beautiful result in the end. And Black Widow is a really nice dark jet black color. And I have a blending brush just dedicated to this really dark jet black. And we're gonna go in and just do our ink blending right on top of the surface here. And this is going to cover all of the color underneath it really well, and it's going to give us a super beautiful blend of color. So you'll see we're going to go over top of this now. It's going to look like a hot mess at first, okay? But don't worry about it, because once we're done, we'll wipe off any of the excess black color once we're done. So just go in and blend this out, and really, you don't need to try to get like the smoothest blend possible. Just add a lot of black ink down. Then we'll go in with a little tiny mist of water, and we're just going to wipe this off. That's going to reveal that color that's underneath really well, okay? Then we're going to flip it. That's just gonna give me a place to put my fingers and hold this, because we're adding a lot of black ink down. And then again, ink blend, nice and dark, to get a super jet black, rich, vibrant color on our surface. I love this. And then again, once again, go in with your rag and wipe off any of the excess color. Yes, it is a total trust the process moment, but it creates such a stunning background in the end. And you get this really gorgeous look. Now that Stellar black ink is so great for this technique, because it dries pretty quickly too, whereas a lot of pigment inks and stuff will really cover your hands. Now, you might still get a little black ink on your hands, but it's nothing like you would get if you're using a pigment ink, because it dries into the cardstock really quite quickly. So check that out. Just gorgeous on top of that surface there, and you get such a beautiful result. All right, now let's finish this off by going in and just cleaning everything up. And we will just clean it with our cloth here. All right. And then what should we do? Should we do a die? I think I want to use that die set from this one, from Leah's set. That was the nested vintage label, and I want to do this one right here. Now notice this is actually just slightly larger. Is it slightly larger? Yeah, slightly larger than the card, is it? No, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to do this one then. This one right here, I think that'll look good. Okay. How do we feel about that? I think that's gonna be really pretty when cut down like this. I feel bad getting rid of some of the card, but I think it's gonna look beautiful with this label die. So we're going to go in and die cut this out using our Platinum 6. And I wanna do it at this angle because I want those florals all throughout, just like that. All right, and then we're going to pop this guy out, and we have that really beautiful background. Now, for this, we could do a colored cardstock for the base. Like we could do something like this, but I don't know, that doesn't make it pop or anything like that. We could do something like this, which is kind of that other color, but see, I don't think that these pop off how I want them to. Or we could do this kind of rosy color. All right. I don't know. I think that white might just be the way to go. I don't know. I kind of think white, unless we want to do black, but I really want it to shine more than that. So we are going in with our stark white cardstock, card base cut again. I'm going to score this right down. All right, and then we're going to add this down using a little bit of foam tape. And let's go in, grab a little bit of foam tape. I know the lighter color pops more, so I'm just gonna use the white just because it's classic to me. I think that the other colors are cool, but to me there's already a lot going on here. And so I just wanna stick with a white card base. It's just classic. All right, and then we will peel this right off. And we will add it right down onto the card base. And I'm doing the purple on the bottom just because I find that like putting a darker color on the bottom rather than the top of the card, it kind of just helps ground it. If you put a darker color on the top of the card, sometimes it can feel a little heavy, whereas putting that darker color on the bottom just helps to ground the card a little bit more. All right, I think that looks good. Down like that, and then we need a sentiment. And I again think that Gina's sentiments are really great for this, and I think Thinking of You is really the way to go with this card. It is kind of sympathy looking with all these florals, and I think that a sympathy sentiment would be perfect. Again, you can always count on Gina for a nice script sentiment. I'm gonna go in here and prep it, and then we will go in with a little bit of black cardstock. We are going to use our anti-static powder tool for some heat embossing, and then we will go in with some Versamark clear sticky ink, ink this guy up, and stamp it right down onto our card. Perfect. Then we will go in and use our white heat embossing powder. And our white is gonna make this pop off the card. Tap off any of the excess. Lightly blowing on it too will help you get rid of some of the excess. And then I'll heat set it. Sometimes I heat set it from the back. If you find that your embossing powder kind of bubbles or gets too textured and you want a really smooth look to it, sometimes heat setting from the back can help you get that effect. It just doesn't blow off as many of the powders, so then you get more of a smooth look. And then for this, I'm gonna go in with Gina K's die set again, and we will go in and just add this down for the Thinking of You sentiment. And we just need to get it right above that sentiment, nice and lined up. We're gonna go right over top again. Don't look at my head too much. And then we'll go in right in with our little scout and die cut this right out. I love my little baby die cutting machine. Okay, pop this sentiment out, and look, it cuts out that little swirl too, which I just think is a great touch. I love when companies do that. The little cutouts really are game changing to not have as much white or black space in like a sentiment like that. And then we will add that right down. Peel off the backer. And then I like to just, whenever I have a little sentiment like this and I'm trying to line things up, I go in with a little tweezers. And I want that rose to still be visible, so that's why I'm moving it up. You could do centered, but I want that rose visible, so it's important to me. So I think I'm gonna put this right here, just like that. All right, that looks great. So here is that finished card. This one used mainly supplies from Gina K's scrapbook.com SBC Fest kit. This used her, what's it called? Textured silhouette stamp set, and we blended, and then we did some really great resist using embossing on that with black ink to really make the images in that stamp set pop. I hope you enjoyed all of the tips that I shared too on how to make your own patterned cardstock by kind of making a square of design and putting it together to stamp them all down and interlock the patterns to create your own cardstock. It looks absolutely amazing. And then finishing it off with that labels die from Leah's really finished it off super nicely. I absolutely love how this card turned out. So let's recap what we did today. I absolutely love all of these cards that we were able to create together. They turned out so stunning, and it was so fun to have you along for the thought process and ideation of all the cards that we were able to create using the 3 SBC Fest kits that we have. And of course, if you guys were here the other day as well, for Friday's live stream, we created even more cards using these kits as well and really interacting with them to create a ton of different projects. So if you did happen to miss that video, definitely go back and check that one out as well. These kits are all available now at scrapbook.com for SBC Fest, but my little 2-day Simon Fest was really fun with you guys, and I hope that if you do get any of the kits that I purchased, hopefully you'll come back to these videos and watch them again and create some cards. Share them on social media if you do, because I would love to see them. It has been so much fun crafting along with products that aren't even mine, but I was just so inspired by them and excited about them that I wanted to share all of my thoughts and projects with them. And who knows, I might even be back for a 3rd day of more inspiration, but I think I've kind of tired out my inspiration here, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with these kits as well. And of course, if you buy them, you'll have these kits for March 13th, which is the actual SBC Fest, so you can join the real instructors as they teach you some amazing cards with them. So you get double the fun. You get Simon Fest and SBC Fest, which I hope you guys enjoy both of them. Now, you can use the coupon code CRAFTY up until the end of tonight. Once it hits midnight, that CRAFTY coupon code is going to be gone, and that gives you an extra 13% off the already incredibly discounted kits. So be sure to take advantage of that discount as well. If you're looking for anything else that I used in today's video, you can find all of my links down below and find all the supplies linked down there for the color cubes, my ink pads, and anything else that you saw that might have interested you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It has been a fun weekend of inspiration. I really enjoyed it. It has been so much fun. I see all of your comments rolling through, and it has been just so much of a blast kind of crafting together and bouncing ideas off of you guys and really creating some really fun cards. I hope to see you guys very soon for another card making and crafting video, and have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.